day. This was a single night, it was a hotel night.
Oh, no. No. You're a funny man. No, that's,
Okay, I got 6 o'clock. I'd like to bring the meeting to order, please. We'll start with roll call.
Ravel?
Here.
Sudenbach?
Here.
Caps?
Here.
Beers?
Present.
And
Okay, if everybody would please stand, face the flag. Robert, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everybody still stay standing, please. John, please give us a prayer.
Dear Lord, let's all be in thoughts and prayers for the Young family this week, as we lost one of our own here, and if we can, be there for them and help them through this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Real quick, Vinny's gonna get started with, I'd like everybody to know at the end of the meeting, number 15, the citizen participation. It's the last thing we do before we adjourn. And Mindy will be the moderator for the minutes during that 3-minute discussion with the community. Okay, so I haven't done a very good job following the guidelines they're putting for us. As city clerk, Mindy will take charge of that particular session. Open and close it, and she'll ask for the adjournment with that. With that, there's an announcement I think I just saw, or my wife informed me. John Enright, his services are
The 19th, yes.
the 19th. Is there a particular time and location?
It's 1 to 4, if I remember right,
Location?
at the clubhouse.
At the clubhouse. Everyone that wants to show appreciation to our volunteer fire department and everything they do. You know, John Enright, he served the community in Kansas City, Kansas his entire life as a fireman. He came down here, volunteer his time to help our community in many, many instances, along with assisting, I believe, the Chief Morrison in training and exercises. So please keep his family and the fire department in our prayers, and thank you guys very much. Mindy? We have a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the last meeting.
Motion to approve the March 24th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Second.
Conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Clerk's report. We have an update for planning and zoning.
They had a meeting last week. Discussed the short-term rentals and container homes. There will be it's not a special meeting, special hearing on May 13th to present the addendum to the planning and zoning.
And again, those two topics were, are we going to consider container homes as a build in the community? And the second was Airbnbs and short-term rentals. You know, what's some of the other cities doing, and what's the next step for the community? Okay, Mindy also has a Text My Government update.
I have flyers over there on how to sign up for the alerts. There's actually 3 categories. You can sign up for alerts, which would be like need to know information, like burn bans, clubhouse is open. And then there is like FYI, which is like general information, and that's where I text today, there's a city council meeting tonight. And then there, if you're on the sewer billing, if you get billed for sewer, there's a utility one. So flyers are back there on that table. If anybody needs help signing up, I'd be more than happy to help get you signed up for them.
And can we put this on the webpage?
It's on the webpage.
It's on the webpage.
It's on the webpage. It doesn't really clearly say you need to sign up 3 times if you want to get messages for all 3 categories. A lot of people have just signed up for the alerts, but they're not getting the just in general, like the dog clinic, I put out for the dog clinic. And there was like, when I went back to check, there's only 3 people signed up for that category, so it's not like an alert emergency thing, but it's a general information, so.
Very good. And/or just give Mindy a call at City Hall.
Yeah, come on, I don't care. We'll get you signed up.
Very good, thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve the vouchers.
Motion to approve vouchers in the amount of $78,668.85.
I'll second.
Conversation. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, real quick, my mayor report only covers a couple things. One, I just come back from some meetings over the weekend that, they delivered the changes in House Bill 2134. It's in direct regards to Cora and Coma. Okay, with that comes some significant changes, and I brought it back with us, and we can also we need to get a copy over to Jamie so that he can help us with this. It'll require some ordinance changes, I imagine, for most cities. New Coma changes, some of them, this is just real quick out of, I don't know, thousands and thousands of words. But we are looking at, one of the key changes to the Kansas Open Meetings Act is they're going to allow the cities to have a 5-minute grace period for going in and out of executive session. Okay, and I think this comes with their experience that every time they go into sub-panels and sub-meetings, you know, someone's always last to speak. When someone speaks up and says time, so I think this has helped allow certain members to finish what they may like to say, but the other time is, we're pretty fortunate, it isn't very far, but there's a transition period from the time we all get up, get over there, sit down, get started, and come back. So they're gonna allow us a 5-minute grace period to that. We have to update ordinances and policies that entertain these changes. We have to train the staff and ensure compliance, and we'll need to communicate with the public based on changes we need to make. Live stream is still optional, although it's the best thing that we can probably do for the community and transparency. You know what, so that the public knows that, you know, it is optional, but, you know, everyone's right to want to know what's going on. With Cora, it comes to, there's a new appeals procedure, which I'm not prepared to discuss. We'll do that when we put this on the agenda. They want to cap the hour charge. You know, often enough what happens with Cora is it comes in at a records request, and there's always something legal that goes with it. So if you try to attach a $165 an hour attorney's fee to her fee, you know what, we're looking at hundreds of dollars an hour to try to comply with Cora to meet whoever's request or needs are. So the state says there's a cap on it. We can only charge $50 per hour, okay? And the other thing that will come with this also is we are going to be required to try to give them an itemized account of what it's going to cost them. Example being, if you're a city that your attitude was, well, thousands of dollars of labor, we'll figure out what you need. You know what, no, that's really not our response. We need to try to really itemize what the estimated cost would be. You know, so, and with that, it's Cora, it's open record. So the bottom line is, if you say, I want to see every transaction that's taken place in the water project since it begun, the city would be required to run thousands of pages of conversations, of emails, of networking, of everything we did in a project. And I don't believe that that was anybody's intention, was that's what I wanted it all, is I wanted it all from start to finish. So they are still required to be specific about what their requests are. Okay? And it may require adjusting our budget and resources for the specific tasking that in the past we did not think it cost us anything. Okay. The other thing that changed is if in an event a requester, we cannot contact him after a third instance, example being John put a request in, I've tried to call John 3 different times over the last 2 weeks, the city now can dismiss that. Okay, so it's no longer on record, on books, or part of legal conversation. This was just a quick, and this all goes into effect by July 1st. So these are just a few of the things that are in here, but these are probably the key things that we need to show investment in. Second thing that I have is we have, again, I have to try to remind everybody what the city's responsibility is and what the POA's responsibility is. Okay? The city, we do not represent the POA. We don't represent the ACC, the Architect Control Committee. They are not a commission of the city. And we don't represent that, nor do we represent the sticker part of what the POA is doing in vehicle and sticker collection. We know the legal reason behind these things, but again, I have to continue to remind people because we continue to have, we now have a legal complaint in hand. Okay, so, and Jamie's handling that. Okay. Sewer report. Do we have a sewer report? Okay, very good. Very good. Any questions regarding the sewer report? Okay, there's no sewer report. I would like to move into executive session for 10 minutes, starting at 6:14 and return at 6:24 regarding contractual conversation.
Motion to move to a legal executive session for contractual discussion to return at 6:24 p.m.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Department. Nuisance and building report. Everybody turn and, anybody have any questions for Steve? Okay, Steve, do you have anything for the council?
Not on this subject, no.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'll move to number 6, which is public safety. We'll go with the police department first. Any questions for Corey?
I do have something to add to that.
Okay,
We were approached by the county IT department about possibility of putting a repeater on our water tower, which helps with all the radio communications, but it'll especially help our fire department as our handhelds right now that all the firefighters carry. A lot of places in here, we can hear dispatch talking to us, but we can't talk back to them. And where the county's requested come up and look at the water tower, we went over and looked at it, see what they may need. They flew a drone over to check on mounting what's on top to mount to and whatnot, but they're requesting to be able to do that.
okay. Let's I'll follow up with the project folks and let them know if it will be an interference or be a conflict between trying to get that done and where we're at this point in stage of the project, which I don't think there'll be any issues. If you could just let us know what the county's requirements are gonna be and if they need anything from us.
Yeah, and looking at the building, it sounded like they would supply the equipment, and as far as electricity and location spot inside there, everything is there. There's more than adequate space for everything there.
Okay. Jamie, under authority, would we have to do something in writing to give them permission to do that?
100%.
Very good. Okay. All right, we'll move forward with that. Council, any conversation regarding that? Anybody, any opposition? Okay, thanks, Corey. Anything else? Very good. Now we move over to the big league. Fire department. Jeremy, you're up.
Well, it was a pretty busy month, I can tell you that, because of all the wind.
I can see that.
We ran about, well, this is the first quarter, we ran 43 runs between Miami County and Linn Valley. I also wanted to say, I messed up. John's deal is from 10 to 2 on Saturday, this Saturday, not 1 to 4. It's 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, so I want to fix that. And then other than that, the only other question I would have for you, sir, is I do a lot of buying stuff for the fire department, and I was wondering if I could get a credit card.
You get a who?
A credit card.
A what? I don't get a credit card.
Because right now I have to buy them with my credit card and see the receipts of this fire.
Well, I understand that part. Corey, I need input. Where are you at on that?
I'm okay with it. He picks up a lot of the supplies and stuff we need there at the building, and typically does that during the day while he's up working in the city, and certainly be easier if he had a city car as opposed to.
Have a credit card?
What's that?
Is he responsible enough to have a
It'll have
credit?
a
I see
limit.
that he dropped his phone in the road.
Mindy?
Good thing is he showed up to his own call.
Mindy, is this something that works within the account we're using?
I think if you put a $50 limit on it, you don't have to worry about it.
Well, actually, that would be the conversation at the council. Does the council have any discussion regarding that?
What kind of limit do you need?
Well, you said you're using your own credit card. You're using it for how much on average a month?
I would say $1,000 would get me through plenty fine. The only time would be like if we had any like big stuff coming up, and then I can.
Corey, does he have a spending limit in your department? Does he have a cap on spending?
He has no spending limit in my department, no.
No.
He has to get approval from me.
Council, I'd entertain a motion for Mindy to issue Jeremy at the fire department a credit card for fire department use only in the amount not to exceed $1,000.
Motion to have the city clerk issue a credit card to Jeremy Hansen for the fire department with a limit of $1,000 per month.
I'll second.
Conversation. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
That's not enough to buy a cell
No,
phone, just so you know.
Actually, since he's been coming to the meetings, he's cost us, yeah, he's getting expensive here, guys.
Jerry, how's the fire pit going?
He sits there,
Yeah.
how
Oh,
much,
yes, I'm
how
sorry.
much money does he
Yeah,
need to sit
about
around
10.
all week and wonder about how much money
10 or
he
12 people
needs?
show up.
Okay.
But people were super excited about it being open because they were.
No illegal dumping so far?
Do what?
No
You haven't
illegal
had
dumping so far?
troubles?
Yeah, we were having problems.
While we're on the conversation of the fire department, is everybody doing fine? Everybody, after all fighting all these grass fires, we've heard a lot of stories about accidents, people losing their lives in grass fires, so everybody,
No, we haven't had any issues. All of ours got pretty good.
very good.
This was all personal.
Okay. All right. This is just a reminder that we all need to thank and say prayer for, you know, our city first responders, because I hear it all the time. Where they're the first ones there before the ambulance, what a great help they are, what a great comfort that they are. And just imagine Miami County fighting these fires and knowing that they've got a backup coming. So, you know what, very good job, guys. Can't thank you enough. I got a couple things. Jeremy's been pretty busy. I'm understanding that he might have the possibility of a fire truck in sight.
Yes, we are working on that. We were actually speaking about that, talking to you guys about figuring out what we need to get started so we can get stuff approved. We're looking, I mean, we found one that's under the money we've talked about, so.
The money, we talked to the financing department today, Joey McKinley, your father. We spoke to McKinley's today. We are finding the truck. We understand that we may need to order it, or it may be, so we also need to know if we need to put, if a deposit on this truck is what we need to guarantee delivery.
And I am speaking with a gal right now with a place called US Apparatus out of I think Louisville, Kentucky, I think somewhere down south. Anyways, they have a couple stock trucks that they have on the lot that we're looking at.
This has all been agreed upon by the council during the process of the 1 cent tax. So with this, you have the authority to move forward with it. You just need to inform Mindy and I to what your purchasing needs will be, and then we will come to the council with those purchasing requirements to ask permission to move forward with spending that amount of money naturally. But what I want the community to know, and the council, is that since we passed this 1 cent sales tax, we've collected approximately $100,000, and we haven't been collecting for a year yet. So, you know what, our opportunities here, guys, you know what, this has nothing to do with the communities giving us more. This has to do with the growth of our community. You know, when we were looking at this a few years ago, or a year ago, you have to remember, this tax was only supposed to, it was gonna take us 10 years to collect $350,000, if you remember right. Look how far off we were based on the growth of this community. And you guys see the Amazon trucks and UPS trucks every day, that I get 10 calls a day going, can anybody do anything about slowing these trucks down? Amazon trucks and delivery trucks in here. So, no, they're not?
No, they're next door.
They're up here.
They're next door, maybe, trust me.
Okay.
They're in your house?
Anybody have any other questions, anything? Fire department doing a great job, guys, thanks. Any questions? Okay. We're gonna move on to our visitors. We have here tonight Max McKinley and David, Max and David, Joey's sons, and is that correct? Nephew's sons, family. But as we're doing this, they're here to speak to us regarding the mental health building. Okay, we had this conversation about entertaining the thought of putting a mental health office here in the community. how could we do it? What direction could this go? And what would actually be, I'm kind of getting ahead of it. This is just kind of the pre-talks of feasibility. So with that, Max, would you kind of lead us into
Yeah,
the conversation?
so I'm here to talk about, well, it's the Southeastern Kansas Mental Health Center that is trying to come along and, talks of putting it in with your city hall. You can, as we talked to legal, issue a general obligation bond for 20 years, as well as have it be backed by a lease, a long-term lease, 20 years, 10 years, however long the Southeast Kansas Mental Health Center agrees to do it for. With that being said, this is a great way to reduce your cost, the cost that comes to you when it comes to, you guys might pay half for this building when it comes to paying off your debt you have on it. Then the other part of it would be essentially through the lease payments that the Kansas Department of or Mental Health Center would be paying you in rent. Very clean cut. When it comes down to how things are zoned or how things are built, an office building costs less square footage than a medical center. Let's say $100 per square foot for just office space. Let's say it's $800 per square foot for medical space. You can put that cost of that medical space onto the mental health center, and they would pay it back in their lease payments, their annual lease payments. Does anyone have any questions so far?
What kind of money are we talking?
I don't know the price yet, so.
I mean, as far as the lease.
Well, they would be paying off, let's say it's 80%, they would be paying the percentage that's higher because they would be, the cost would be higher, so let's say it's an 80-20 split because their cost was 80% higher. They'd be paying that in their annual payments, which would then come to the city would then take that and pay off their debt.
Part of the conversation is the Department of Mental Health is gonna require a building at 3,000 to 4,000 square foot. Okay, if we estimate that cost in a medical center, a medical building could cost us on the average of, let's say, $300 a square foot, up to $800 a square foot. City offices considerably lower because, again, it doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles of a medical building. So that explains the factors, and I'm just guesstimating off of some rough takeoffs and stuff, but I'm guesstimating that the medical building could cost us about 1.5 million to build a building of that size and what represents a medical building. So now with that, the city hall comes into conversation only because, again, it's another opportunity to add something that we can help pay for, within a build that's already gonna take place. And what can we benefit from that? Okay, so, well, go ahead, Max.
This is the cheaper way, essentially, for you guys to get a city hall. Let's take out the aspect of the medical building being X amount more. Now let's just say it's $1 million. Now that you have this medical center in there, the cost of the for the city is now in half. The medical center will pay half, ideally, and then the city will cover the rest. So you get a city hall and a new building with a medical center for essentially half the price it is for the city. Now with that being said, let's put into fact that we'll get this medical center, and if we can get them for the whole term of the lease until the debt is paid off, that's great. We could potentially get them for 10 years, and then we could structure it so it's that they will be paying off that agreed upon amount throughout this time, so it is less expensive for the city, as well as you get a new mental health center.
Well, let's say what happens, let's say Governor Kelly decides she's gonna get her own Doge team, and they come in and they ixnay that lease that we have. They can legally do that, can't they?
I don't think they can ixnay that lease. However, they could potentially get rid of that private entity that's a not-for-profit. It has to be a not-for-profit when it is in this building while this debt is being paid off. You could find another not-for-profit to then take over. However, there are steps in place that it would be, this entity will be paying for this. This will be paid off. That there would be, can't say a guarantee, but there would be things in place to avoid this renter or leasee just dropping off the face of the earth. And this department is private entity, but I think it's been around since 1961. It doesn't look like it's going away, but I can't say for sure that it's not.
John, what's your question?
We'd also, go ahead, Jimmy.
It's easy. If they dissolve, you're up the creek. The state can't just go, hey, we're done with you and move on, because no one will ever do business with them, right?
Yeah.
But if that entity does dissolve, and not-for-profit does dissolve, then it's like any other company that dissolves. You can get in line and try to get the money from them, but there won't be any. So I think what you're trying to get at is what happens if they stop paying?
Yes.
I think the answer is, and correct me if I'm wrong, if they stop paying, the city is still liable for that
Yes.
amount that's due and owed for that month, for that quarter, for that year.
Absolutely, and it would be until you could find someone else to take over the space that is a private entity, not for profit. Now this department, the Southeast Kansas Mental Health Center, they cannot build their own buildings without just having cash on hand or going through a bank themselves and getting a much higher interest rate. So they are benefiting as well by going through the city because it then has a lower tax rate.
They have a board with the Department of Health, Kansas Department of Health, that this all has to be funneled through and approved by. Okay, another conversation that came to play today that I didn't think of, because I was thinking long-term lease and them paying it out, you know. If they would agree to a 30-year lease. Well, what if we continue to grow the way we're growing and we need to expand again someday? Well, you may want to consider a short-term lease under the prospect that not 5, but maybe meet them in the middle at 15 or something. And however, in conversations, again, we can live in fear of what is somebody going to do next, or are we going to move forward with trying to manage the growth of the city? So, and that's why I've asked McKinley's to come here tonight to give us those thoughts, along with what gets plugged into that is $1,800 a month that's previously budgeted for this very space. So,
Were you saying it was gonna be one building, basically, though, or?
I do not know all of the specs and designs of this building, however, that's
I mean,
my
I know what
understanding.
you were discussing, though, was the
Yeah.
assumption City Hall and this? would
Yes,
be
it would be
one
one
building?
large building that essentially split in half. I don't know, I guess if it's 2 floors or if it's just one long building. But I
Well,
Again,
the only way for us to get any money from this facility is that lease, right?
Well,
Because
to
there's no tax
pay off,
revenue.
to pay off the debt, let's say Southeast Kansas Mental Health Center goes kaputs, it's gone. That is, worst comes to worst, there is not someone that is taking over this lease, then it would fall onto the taxpayer. However, that is why you would sign a lease with them and have it be long-term, and it would be
But I'm saying
structured.
there's no other revenue from that, other than the lease, because they're nonprofit, so it's gonna be tax exempt and all that.
It will be a tax exempt bond when it comes to, issuing the debt for that. And that's where they benefit because it's a lower interest rate for them. Also a lower interest rate for the city. When it comes to income coming from it, yes, I do not think there's any other income that would come other than the lease. Which would just be, you know, once that's paid off, it would turn into what would look like rental payments still. Yeah.
Mayor, I know when I was talking to Joey earlier, he had kind of put a number on what we're currently spending, and there's a value for the amount of money we've currently budgeted, you know, and, you know, what we currently budget to lease this in a real build is gonna be between probably $400,000 and $600,000. You know, 400 being on the low side, you know, and we're also looking at around a 4.5% interest rate.
4.5 to 5 as of right now.
You know, with this, so where do we think interest is gonna go in the future? Do we think it's gonna bottom out again? Or do we think that we're gonna see building costs and interest for building costs continue to improve and increase? You know, and the concept of Build America, more American manufacturers, I don't know what that means. I'm not an investment guy. So.
As well as if we issue now and let's say interest rates in the next year or whenever we get this project moving forward issued, interest rates plummet, we will refinance. There will be, if there are savings to be made. You know, this is a locked in interest rate. The interest rate won't change over the term of the loan bond. But if interest rates in the open market do go down, we will refinance, which we have done in the past.
Any other questions?
So just off the top of my head, say $2 million, what are we looking at as our monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever, responsibility? Percentage, 1, 5, 10?
Percentage, I'm kind of confused on what you're asking. Are you just saying
Like
how
if
much
we
you owe?
did, yeah, a $2 million general obligation bond, what is our yearly or whatever that we have to pay in?
I mean, I
obligation?
can't say that off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
But I would happily go back to the nerdery tomorrow and send you guys some numbers.
I'm guessing around 7,500 a month.
I think the first step we've done is we've listened to some opportunity. I think as we move forward, that McKinley can fine tune all this, and I think what we want to remember about especially this group of financial advisors is that they're self-invested in a lot of this. So, you know what, they of all people, as they're stepping out, you know what, they don't want to set themselves up to fail. You know, so kind of an advantage we have, that example being, we're not necessarily, right now, we don't have any outstanding loans with our financing. Everything's in the bonding field right now, or we owe them. So.
Don't
yeah.
take it that I'm against this. I
No,
look
no.
at the whole picture of everything.
Yeah. And with that, does anybody have any more questions, and do you have anything else, Max?
Well, I think this plan is pretty dynamite when it comes to how will the city move from this city hall into the city hall that it will be, because you guys are growing fast. City hall is needed soon. That's, I guess, up for debate and opinion. However, when it comes to trying to save on building costs and getting someone else to take the burden from you, it seems like this is a good way to go.
So how far out is this project? I mean, how fast will this all happen?
Well, I actually, what we'll start with, and I don't figure we'll pass it tonight, but we start with a resolution that we presented for the council to take a look at it, And what you can do, what we'll do is we'll fine tune it. Any changes or adds or things that the council would like to see done to it, we take another, we put it together as a group, and then we move forward with the resolution. That resolution gives us a better understanding of feasibility. He's talking in funds based on some real basic averages here versus feasibility. Let's take a company like B&G. B&G could probably knock a study out in 3 days to tell us exactly what it's gonna run us in square footage, and the square footage that we would need per building based on our needs. So with that feasibility will come at a cost, but nothing's done, no different than any resolutions we've ever done. No money can be spent without coming back to the council and let the council know what the cost is gonna be. And I can't enter into a contract without the council's approval. So with this, I would say that we're looking to probably just get an answer from the health department that we're interested or we're not. Okay, and I think that they would be satisfied with the fact that a building project like this could take 9 months to 12 months to get planned, broke in, financials taken care of, and then actually getting plans creating and putting it out to bid. Okay, so you'd be looking in next year, you would actually be looking at the financing, the planning and the financing would come first. Okay, so, and with that, we have some, we're gonna let Max finish first.
Max, wouldn't you guess around 2 years for this process?
2 years, year and a half. When it comes to actually financing it, we need numbers. That's not the long part. The long part is mostly the engineers getting everything squared away.
And we have a deadline, we would have a deadline also, which is gonna be January, February, March, April of 2027. Is when the lease on this building's up, so we're setting on a deadline also. So with that, let's hope that we can do it within the time constraints that we have to work with, John. So. Okay. Max, anything else?
No, unless you guys have any more questions for me. When it comes to that timeline, don't take my word for stone on the timeline just because there's a lot more things at play than our financing.
Understand.
Yeah.
Question, legal? Okay. All right. Max, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming.
Thanks for having us.
With that being said, again, we're real fortunate to have you, your family's business that are part of our team.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're very fortunate. I want to thank everybody for your time and work and everything you've done.
Of course.
With that being said, I would ask the council for us to move into an executive session at this particular point in time regarding contractual obligations and opportunity in this exact discussion. And I would entertain a 15-minute executive session starting at 6:57 and returning what would that be, at 12 minutes after?
12 after.
So return at 7:12.
Would you like me to wait until after your executive session?
Pardon?
Would you like me to wait until you?
No, sir, we're good. We're not gonna be making too many big decisions tonight. This is just the beginning stage of getting the council in awareness.
Perfect.
Okay.
You guys have our number and have our email.
I do. Thank you guys very much, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Motion to move to legal executive session, contractual conversation, return at 7:12 p.m.
All in favor?
Aye.
Executive. returning from executive session with no action taken. Okay, I want to be clear about what we're doing here with trying to entertain the thought of a mental health facility. Okay, it's an office. It is the first topic of this plan. Okay, is that feasible? Can we do that? The conversation of the city hall would only get added because of opportunity. Okay, it's not something that was added because it doesn't need done, or et cetera, or timing, or any of the above. It's being done because there's a financial opportunity that may come with building this in a two-part deal with a city hall and a mental health office. So I don't want anybody to think that the priority here was to slip in a new city hall. That's not what we're trying to do at all. Okay, here's a financial opportunity. So with that, let's move to the nuisance schedule in your book.
Resolutions?
No, resolutions. Check signers. I entertain a motion to approve resolution 138, which will repeal resolution 94 based on check signers.
Motion to adopt resolution 138, check signs for the city of Linn Valley.
I'll second.
Conversation. All in favor?
Aye.
Old City demolition, motion to approve. Tonight, we cannot approve the resolution 136 for condemning the old City Hall. The purpose for the condemnation was so that we could turn this in for a free dump schedule down at the county dump. Okay, the only way the county will approve such resources is if we have a resolution to go with it. And with that, Jamie, it has to be, what did you say, the legal
You have
intent?
so many days,
Yes.
you have to post it, everything else. So we set a date for, what are you making me think? June 9th, I think it is.
Okay,
That way we have enough time to get it in the paper. So if you pass this, then we have the ability to have that next hearing date on June 9th, and we'll get it put in the paper.
okay. Would entertain, tonight, I still would entertain a motion to approve the resolution 136.
Motion to approve resolution 136, resolution ordering a hearing on why a certain property within the city of Linn Valley, Kansas should not be condemned and ordering a hearing for the night.
Second.
Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. C, we've pretty much covered everything except for, with this, you'll notice in your handbook was a resolution 137 that we began to put together. I'd like for the council to kind of look at that resolution and before the next meeting, add comments and entertain any changes that you might think need to be made in that resolution. Conversation. Okay. We're moved to nuisance schedule, the nuisance fee schedule, number 9. With that is, we have unfortunate circumstances sometimes of people who are just repetitious in offenses that are habitual, you might say, that we just can't get things done. There's a lot of ways of combating that. One of them would be that we raise that fee schedule to make it cost more, and maybe that would be a deterrent. I would, Jamie, we need, how much time you need in executive session to discuss, I don't think we have to do that. We can do it right here. Here's the deal. We have a community that has, a lot of people have set incomes. okay? With that and knowing that, to raise these performance values, are we benefiting or are we hindering? Example being, Jamie should be given the authority to fine somebody $5,000, but how many circumstances does he actually come across that when he's looking at this person in court, this is somebody that deserves that kind of fine, and can they really afford it? And I can tell you that the other thing that we don't want to do is we don't want to create robots. Okay, and what I mean by that is you can increase a fee schedule, but a person that can't afford that, they just have to come in and pay monthly. So how long does it take the city to recover those charges, and what is the cost, and what is that? Before we move forward with motioning on this and making this decision, I want to start with Jamie. Where do you think we are with court and legal, and will raising this rate, will it benefit the codes department, or will it benefit the city and the community?
So the issue with this nuisance stuff is, it's not a jailable offense, right? They're just gonna be fines, and you can make them clean it up, the city can clean it up, and then they can assess the cleanup costs, plus they can assess fines and things like that. We've got some people right now that clog up our system, not a nuisance, but they've had prior violations that they show up monthly to make a payment. So you have to factor in that, the cost of the time of Lisa, judge, and everyone else to have to deal with these people that keep coming in to pay. And they do, they come in monthly and they pay, and so forth. So the question is, does it really benefit, and the people, and I'm not gonna say their names, that are coming in, but they've been fined so much each time, it hasn't changed, they're still picking up more of this certain issue, and then they get fined the max amount. And what happens is, instead of say $100 fine, now I've got a $10,000 total amount of fine that they're paying off. So it's not doing much in relation to getting them to change their behavior. I think the majority of people that say would have a $500 fine if that's necessary. I mean, look, first time somebody gets a nuisance, say their grass is too long. I'm just telling you, if I get it and they come in front of me and I've got to deal with them on a first time and they've got zero history, there's a good chance, as long as they were polite, respectful, and there was something going on, they're going to pay court costs if they cleaned it up. That's if they were polite and respectful to Steve, to law enforcement, to me, to the judge, and to everyone else. If they weren't, we have a different posture. It's the ones that are continuous in nature that we do assess those fines to. And those are the ones that make it difficult, because a lot of times they're just not friendly and they're going to pick up more nuisance violations. So the question is the fine amount going to change their behavior? Probably not.
So it's a double-edged sword. If we raise the fine amount, I think it's currently 500 max. If we raise that to 1,000 max, you're just gonna end up with people coming in and paying.
If they pay, so here's how it works, and this is where the problem comes in. If they don't pay, the court can issue a warrant for their arrest, because they were ordered to appear every month. Well, if they don't appear and they issue a warrant and say Corey goes and picks them up, Corey's got to take him to the jail. Just by taking them to the jail and booking them,
Now we're paying.
now the city's going to pay for that jail fee. Well, you can assess it to the person that has a fine that they're supposed to pay, they didn't show up to pay. So now you can stack on it. What's Ake's charge? Do you even know?
I think it's the same as it was before.
What was that?
Was it 35 a day?
Yeah.
60.
60 a day?
So you tack on 60 on top of that, so then they bond out, right? And judge here does PR bonds, which is appropriate, because you do cash or sureties. That requires the judge to come in on a regular basis to have them heard, and that's just a mess, which is a huge cost. So we're basically just stacking money up for these certain individuals. That's the problem. I mean, I'm more than happy to assess somebody a $5,000 fine.
Well, where I came up with this was because it worked with the dogs. Because them people that were letting their dogs run loose, have got fines for coming to paying every month, they're not letting them run loose now. You don't see them all over.
I would disagree.
I disagree.
100%. And I can say that because they've gotten new tickets.
Yeah, but I don't see those dogs nearly
As much. But the problem is they've also gotten new tickets, those individuals.
And you've moved to the other side of the lake. The one person's
You
still.
see them on Facebook, dude.
Oh, I'm just saying the one person,
used to
his
be
dog's
out there
in my
every
yard
week.
3 days a week, every week.
So that's the problem is, so those people actually still are coming, they're still getting tickets. You are correct, not as many. Is it because of the fine? The one person's not even paying them, she's got her friend, boyfriend, whatever it is paying the fines. So it's not really affecting her. And the other one, I couldn't even tell you, to be honest with you, but he shows up and pays.
Well, we were just looking for something to fix what he's going through. You know what I mean? Having to give the same people the same ticket every month, and then not learning.
That's the
There's
problem,
no
is how do you get them to
change.
learn? I mean, here's the deal, somebody could show up to court and give $1 and go, this is all I'm gonna pay today. Court can't do nothing. All they can do is say, come back next month. And that's part of the problem. So it's like I said, Barbara's correct, it's a double-edged sword. What do you do? And that's the big question. And look, there is no right answer. It could be assess more fines. It could be keep it the same way. But there is no right answer. Because it all boils down to the person that you're dealing with.
I mean, that's why we left it all up to you. You know, you could up to this certain amount.
Correct.
Because you know what's going on there.
Correct.
And you know what to do with it.
But I can say the majority of people, candidly, and there's not as many as you would think that are these constant repeats. There are a few, but the majority of them do get stuff cleaned up and get stuff done. So it's I don't
Not
know.
all of them.
Right, the one we were talking about, the car
It's in
full of trash
every-
up to the sky, and it's there every month.
But here's the problem: if you base decisions off of one person and one person's actions, then you guys are going to be really busy every single council meeting, changing ordinances, changing things because of that fact. So you got it; it's a slippery slope.
And if your goal is just to get the problem like such as that cleaned up,
Condemn
give them
it.
their letter, you get them to court, get that process done. If it's not been cleaned up, then the council and the code just needs to move faster towards getting the condemnation done to where the city, you're gonna pay the money if you get it done, but you can put that back on the taxes, but you get the problem cleaned up, the city would have to hire somebody to go down there and do it.
And
And
that's
then
it.
the problem's taken care of.
But that's the cost associated
It
with
just
that.
wasn't just one people, the whole thing. I know there's a couple, 2 or 3 that we talked about, and they just had the same problem over and over.
There's also the counter support that we don't have, and that is, we have asked for the POA to enter into agreements to send letters before we have to send Steve out there to actually write tickets. There's no relationship there on working with each other. An example being, the perfect example of confusion, who actually is responsible for what, as we look at these things, in their eyes, the side of the POA that are involved in this, they're not doing anything wrong. Okay, some of the situations you're talking about isn't something that's been around for a year or 2 years. They've been around for 10 years. It's been there longer. And you know what? You know, as a city that we keep, at 26 years of being a city, we keep discovering things that went on for a long, long time. We can try to, Jamie's helped me with this, one at a time, Lou, one at a time. But also with that, this comes with a fee not to exceed $500. I think that equally what could go with this is that the council, if you choose, I think that you could have this conversation with legal right now and say, Jamie, I think maybe some of these situations regard the maximum first. You know, because in situations that we're talking about, those folks, some of these folks have yet they start with a 10-day notice, and you know what, we're still, you know what, they clean a little bit up, Steve takes pictures, and then it goes back. They clean a little bit up, Steve takes pictures, then they go back.
Because they know they got their 10 days.
Okay, so I guess the conversation becomes, you know what, maybe we should use what we have at hand at the maximum first, you know, before we start. Example being, this person hasn't had to, this person that we've made up has not had to pay any fines yet. Okay, so, you know, so where do we start with it? So maybe that's the questions that we need to ask legal, is that, Jamie, with what we have to work with, can you be a little tougher on these folks that are habitual offenders?
And some we are. Every single one is situational, that's the thing.
Okay.
And if you guys want to set a minimum fine that every person has to pay, if there's a codes violation, set it. And then it takes it out of my hand, where, just so we're clear, that if you guys want to set a minimum fine, say of $200 plus court costs, that's your guys' decision. But understand.
Then you're punishing people, some people do just make mistakes.
Right.
So you're punishing everybody for the actions of a couple.
This is a hard conversation,
What about
you
a
know.
3 strikes rule?
What do you mean?
You get 10 days notice, you clean it up, that happens twice, on the 3rd time, condemnation, we're cleaning it up.
I
Which
think
makes,
that's what-
that sounds real simple in theory, but, and Lou's shaking his head, and here's why, and Lou, correct me if I'm wrong, because you and I had this conversation. Then you have the issue of, you go ahead and condemn it. Then you gotta say a $20,000 cleanup fee, or $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. The city pays that. That comes out of the city budget. In turn,
Budget ain't that big.
in turn, you have to then be able to go collect from that person. The best you're gonna get is
Yeah.
put it to their taxes, and when they decide to sell, or go ahead and do the get it from their taxes, if they show any money that they're supposed to get back, then you can collect that. And so then you're going down a slippery slope of say you do 5, and say that totals $100,000 for that year. If you only recoup 5,000, you got 95,000 out of your budget, and then you're gonna have to start creating a line item in your budget, say for 100,000 a year, of wanting to make sure you have enough money for condemnations. Then you got the issue of where's your mill levy gonna be, you got your issues of what your tax liability is gonna be, and then you have a lot of angry people.
It's not something cities normally do, nor do I recommend we do that we actually, during budget season, go, we're gonna clean up $20,000 worth of properties this year. I don't recommend, nor do I see other cities that actually budget condemnations that way, although they spend, let's take Lacine, for example. Lacine's a perfect example of an aging city, an aging infrastructure, and they're removing a lot of those buildings themselves. And I don't know, Rob Gifford might even have had a participant in maybe being involved in some of the bids and stuff, but those are costly removals. Cities just, that's a hard one to try to anticipate on our end, so.
But in that example of they get the letter, they have 10 days, they do a little work, Steve goes out, takes pictures, and they have done some work, so they get what, an additional 10 days to try to do more. On the 3rd time, no, you're going to court, you're getting fined, we're done.
That's if Steve's had the conversation. A lot of times, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, you send a 10-day letter and say, this is what you're in violation of. You know, grass is easy. Damn thing's too big, it's too high, cut your grass. That's easy. Where it gets more difficult is when you've got a violation, say for rubbish or something of that nature. Not me, but some people truly don't understand what that actually means. You know, they think their pile of tires is not, they think it's artwork. Well,
Yes.
no, that's not, it's not. And you get some people that
There
are
are people that
truly hoarders. I've got a friend
Yeah.
that's a hoarder. And I went to his house, what is today? Monday, on Saturday. And we stopped by, and my 10-year-old was ecstatic. He goes, Dad, do you see this BMX bike? This is the most, I said, that is the most biggest piece of crap you've ever seen. And I said it just like that to him. It's completely rusted out. But to my friend, that is just gold. Now you ask his wife, and she'll say something I'm not going to say here. But that's the problem as well, is then is the expectation of having Steve go to them go to each individual, which is a lot of work for Steve in addition to what he's already doing, going, hey, I want to meet with you. I want to go over every little single thing that I want you to do differently versus here's what this is, here's what you need to do, versus 10-day letter, you don't comply, write the ticket, come in, and then when Steve's here, versus having to go to each house, we can go through and go, hey, this is all the crap you have in your yard that needs to go away. Now, if we want to go under that, we've discussed this before, if you want to go under that deal, and if you guys want to do it, I'm fine with that. Give them till the next setting, and if it's not cleaned up, then we'll set it for trial for the next one. I'm more than happy to hammer it, if that's the route you guys want to go. That's fine with me, I don't care.
I don't think we should take authority away from the court. Example being, that is an operational function for him while he's in court. Okay, you done a real good job, you know, it's an older couple like my wife and I, and we've got a big mess. It's taken us a little while to clean it up. We're not as young as most, but we've showed a great effort in getting that cleaned up. I'd hate to think that innocents or people incapable are gonna get caught up in this after 10 days because the councils choose to create separation with the court and say, no, you don't have authority in that. You get a 10-day warning and then we expect you to move forward with prosecution. I think we're taking authority out of the court if we do anything like that. He should have that latitude and that ability of movement. And the judge, if you've ever been to our court, we're not a big time court, you know, and the judge gives him that latitude also. So
I was
sometimes,
just looking to give him a special tool that he could bring out just every once in a while when he needs it. But if he says that it won't work, then it won't work.
The problem is
He's one that-
things are easy in theory, right? It's harder to
Right.
put into practice. That's the first thing. Second thing, you talk about the bigger cities. You gotta remember, it's Linn Valley. It's not big, right? So you talk about Olathe, you talk about Overland Park, Prairie Village, and I appreciate you trying to make it so it's easier for Steve and I. They have court every day, and they have court from, and they say 8 to 4. It's usually more like 9 to 3. But they can drag somebody in every day on a coach deal and make them feel it to where the point is if they don't show up and they can put them in jail, well, what do they care? They've got plenty of money. Here, $35 is a lot of money. So it's much more difficult to get those things done because of the economic factor that we're dealing with. But I don't know the right answer. I don't think anybody does.
Well, I'll take your word for it. You say it won't work.
And the thing is, but no, some people it might work. Some people it might not. The question is, you gotta find some continuity of how do you create it, and that's the problem. I don't know the answer.
I wasn't trying to take the discretion away from you.
No, I didn't think you did. I wasn't thinking that at all.
I think you're the best one to know, you know.
these are good conversations because you're bringing to us what you see is taking place in the community, okay? And what is going on maybe in challenges for certain departments, you know? So these are good conversations, you know, and it allows this group to speak among yourselves more, to have a better understanding to the dynamics of our community. Jamie and I talk every day. We try to keep up with what's happening in the community and what we need to do from day to day. I come to court. I see Steve's challenges. I understand Chief's challenges. He runs me copies of the court. I get court docket. It runs the nuisance. He keeps me up with a verbatim of what he's working on with this stuff that we all three, Jamie, I, and Steve, all follow. And with that, you know, we've had this conversation about, you know what, for example, the sewer. I think that ought to be a $50,000 fine. If you don't know how to operate and handle your sewer, you're gonna dump it in a ditch. It should be a $50,000 fine. But like Jamie says, he says, sir, you have only 2 people in this community that can afford such a fine. Maybe, I mean, you know, we have to remember, every one of us remind ourselves of this when we have to make money decisions based on the real economics of our community. the real economics of our community does not represent what the nice, spacious, large homes around the lakes really represent. Okay, we have a lot of people on fixed incomes, so, you know, so it's good to have these conversations. But now we're up to a point with this conversation. Anybody else have anything, any more input on this before I move to, this will require one or two things. We either amend, I'll entertain a motion to amend this nuisance article from 500 to a different amount, or we'll go ahead and dismiss this and we'll readdress this at another time if need be.
I think Tim said it won't work, so I'm good with that.
Okay, dismisses the, I believe, the general deal here. Okay. Let's move forward with once a month council meetings. It was brought up, I can't even tell you when it was, but Mr. Hemphill had brought this up some time back, is there's a chance for us to go to a one meeting per month. And I know how much that I have to do in a month's time, but that's a decision for the council to make. So one of the groups I'd like you to keep in mind is office staff. Tonight's meeting, in case you do pass this tonight, I tried to get the entire month's decision that we need to make in hand. Okay, so these are kind of, if we go to once a month, we'll end up having to have a couple meetings a month and special meetings, because we're getting ready to start a project that we're gonna have construction draws. So Mindy will set a pay period, a pay schedule for that, and then we will abide by that. You know, that those pay requests will have to be in by the first of the month so that they can be put on the agenda and prepared and approved by the council by the first meeting. So as we set all this up, we may fall into categories we have to meet anyway, because we're gonna have construction things going on that's gonna require our attention. So there's gonna be a lot of decisions that are gonna be made in the future that I won't be allowed to make on my own, that I'll have to bring to the council, and you will be allowed the opportunity to mitigate those conversations. So, again, I offer up, again, we talk about once a month council meetings, discussion.
I don't know about the once a month, but if we do keep the 2 a month, can we maybe make the format to where we do the project stuff on the second meeting? And
We've always tried that, but it just seems a lot goes on in our city, and, you know, I think this is a result of we're 26 years old, we're a baby in this world of legislature, and we're growing. You know, every time we discover something, we're in an ordinance. You know, I'll give you a good example. The once a month, the amount of meetings we have in a month is in a charter ordinance. So in order for us to change that, the same we changed it from the last time. We gotta go to the charter ordinance, and we'll have to change it in the charter ordinance, which isn't that big of a deal. The girls are getting really good at ordinances and resolutions. So, well, Mindy doesn't think so, but yes, ma'am, we are. So, I don't know, guys, I'm not opposed to either or. I'm here to serve you and the community, and I'll do it in whatever fashion you guys want me to, but you guys have to make this decision.
Seems like we don't really discuss, the second meeting, we don't really discuss a lot. We don't really decide a lot. We just talk about stuff we talked about before. And if we need a special meeting, we can just have a special meeting.
Well, we could do this. You could still have the special, you could still keep the special meeting scheduled, and and as I set the agenda, the agenda could be, correct me if I'm wrong here, Jamie, but we could come in, I could open the meeting, just make reference to the fact that no discussion, no requirements, no action needed to be taken, and I entertain to adjourn. So we don't have to spend any time at here, but we keep it on the schedule for the sake of if we do need that time for the agenda.
Are you talking about if there's not a quorum?
No, it's a quorum, it's
If
still a
we
meeting.
kept the second meeting, but we didn't have anything to actually discuss in the second meeting, all it would take is 3 council members to show up.
To come in and say, we've got nothing, and those 3 would know
Open,
that,
adjourn, out.
and those 3 would know that based on the Dropbox. Well, shoot, Blue ain't got anything, you know, so there's nothing really pressing in the Dropbox. The question is, we gonna leave the second meeting on?
open the drop.
Oh, if you can.
We're close to having that, right?
Lou,
Huh?
it-
We're close to having Dropbox eliminated.
I think so.
Okay.
Did you,
Yeah, about this time.
Lou, that's great, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. I mean, I count 1, 2, 3 people. I mean, you count 2, but you're here every time. So we'll say 4, right? The only issue is if you're gonna do that and you have a crowd that shows up for some weird reason, they're not gonna be happy, going, why are you having meetings and just canceling them
Yeah.
on the onset?
True.
That's
You're not
the only reason I'm
transparent.
bringing it up, but like I said, the reality is, I think we know the ones that show up, it's easy to,
Numerous ones online as well.
yeah.
Tom,
Well, online's different than
Yeah.
being
Well,
in
now that
person.
we have the text thing, we could always send out a text saying, due to the limited agenda, tonight's meeting will likely.
looks like I said, there's only 3 people signed up for general.
Yeah.
Until that.
I think the question at hand is 1 meeting or 2, and I don't know that you're going to offend or upset. You're not gonna offend or upset me no matter what you decide to do.
If you do one, it's gonna be longer, obviously, right? But then you're gonna have to have special meetings and people will have to be flexible. Or you leave open the second or the 4th, whatever it is, I can't even keep track right now. What is it,
Second
the
Monday.
Fourth Monday.
The 4th Monday a month open, just in case we have to call a special meeting. So you could have your Monday.
Can't do that either. The charter ordinance does not, charter ordinance is very specific about we have to advertise in our charter ordinance time, date, and place
No.
of all meetings.
You and I are agreeing. We're on the same page, actually. What I'm saying is,
The council members.
yeah, what I'm saying is keep the first, the Monday, the first Monday we do the meetings, keep it like that. Council members will keep open that last Monday, not that it's scheduled or anything else. That way, if we have to call a special meeting, we know people will be available. That's all I'm saying.
Calling a special meeting for that date means that we're gonna go to 1 meeting a month.
Right.
Yes, correct.
We'll change the charter ordinance, be specific, we'll enter it into the paper, means we'll go to 1 meeting a month, will be the 2nd Monday of every month.
How hard is it for you to schedule a meeting if it's an emergency, Donnie? Just out of the blue.
Has to be in the paper for,
No. I just have to notify George.
Sure. 24 hours is the number that I've always put on a special meeting. It'll take 24 hours for her to contact the media, for us to contact the council and try to create, example being, she's gonna put out there who's available for this date. Just because we set the meeting doesn't mean that Richard may not be on a cruise, and John might not be out of town, and, Robert might be on vacation,
I'm
so.
going on the cruise with Ricky.
You know, so, but again, the question at hand here is that, it's a council decision, so. Sir,
What if you just kept the second meeting on the schedule, and then each month there's nothing, if there's nothing to talk about, you just cancel that meeting?
You
well,
can't,
we just discussed that.
you can't. If you're gonna have set meetings,
I have to set an agenda.
correct, and 2 options. Option 1 is if no one shows up, there's not a quorum, right? But it's supposed to be, Mindy would have to show up.
Yeah,
and-
there cannot be a city meeting without the city clerk.
Yeah.
That's number 1. Number 2, cannot be a sitting meeting or a scheduled sitting meeting and an agenda set without a quorum of the council. Now, I can set all the agendas I want, but if they don't wanna come to the meeting, I sit here with an agenda, so,
But you can't cancel a meeting?
not that's regularly scheduled. It's not something, can do on a regular basis.
You're supposed to have, the clerk's supposed to show up, technically the clerk's supposed to show up. And when there's nobody here, then there's supposed to be, there wasn't a quorum and things like that. Yes, technically, can you cancel a meeting? Yes, but you can't make a habit of it, because then it becomes problematic.
And he was just warning us about the public's expectations. You know, if it's on the schedule, if it's part of the charter ordinance that we're gonna meet on the second Monday and the fourth Monday of every month, well, there's a gentleman right behind you that wants to attend most of the meetings. So he's gonna show up here, and regardless of how we entertain to charge this meeting, and he may not be the only person. So with that, I think it's just a simplicity of one meeting or two, and it's up to these guys. We went to 2 meetings because of the amount of work and the amount of time we were spending in here for a once a month meeting when we were starting the projects, you know, with Cindy Smith. I mean, we were having some pretty long meetings there for a while, and so we chose to go to 2, which seemed to separate it. And I agree with Councilman Hemphill that there are times that we come in here with nothing but a couple things on the agenda, and we really don't get any significant updates. Everything's just pretty much status quo, you know. But meanwhile, everybody's left their families, their homes, missed dinner, and including yourself, and we're up here for a meeting that was just, well, what a waste of time, what some people may say. And in your case and visitors' case, it would have been nice if they would have actually scheduled a meeting. It'd have been nice if they would have kept it. So I really do think it's one or the other, and you know, myself and the employees, you know, we're here to serve the community and the council, regardless of what their decisions are. Not regardless, however those decisions come to play.
I like the one meeting.
What's that?
I like one meeting and schedule if we need it.
Curious, Pleasanton, Lacey, Mount City, are they 1, 2, 3, do we know?
Most of them are 2 meetings a month. Lace's pretty busy with all their aging infrastructure. I mean,
Not that we have to, I just kind of didn't know. If they were all on one meeting and we're the only one doing 2,
no, I don't
maybe
think
we're
that.
doing overkill, but.
No, this was a conversation that I saw.
Do you know the answer to that?
What's that?
I was asking if he knew the answer to that, what the other cities do.
Oh, no, I know we were on a mayoral email thing, and everybody was talking about how many times a month. A lot of cities of the 3rd class, smaller than us, don't have a lot going on. They're not grown. They don't have the growth issues we do, but they meet once a month. All your cities of the 2nd and 3rd class, most of them are meeting 2 to 4 times a month. Okay, so, you know, the cities of the 1st class, you know, some of them meet weekly. But as we look at this, you know what, it's a matter of, no, don't look at this as a controversy, guys. I mean, this is just pretty simple. Do we want to come up here and put the workload in once a month, or do we want to do it twice a month? I mean, you know, I don't think what Councilman Hemphill is asking is unreasonable. Councilwoman Capps would say, hey, you know, I could live with 1 meeting, and I don't know. I need a general consensus because I will need a motion to go into the charter ordinances to change that, and I want everyone to know that this cannot be a 3-2 deal. When it comes to charter ordinance, it has to be unanimous. That means it has to be 4 out of 5 of you. Anytime you change a charter ordinance, it has to be unanimous.
4 out of 5, you said?
Yes, sir. Charter ordinance require that. charter ordinance and a tie of 2-2 would also allow me to vote. But I don't have a vote on anything else.
There's 5 of us.
Thank goodness it's not 4.
You just confused me a little bit there, Bob.
Didn't mean to.
It doesn't matter to me, but it is 8 o'clock.
Oh, we're not done.
I know.
Maybe we can
And
do
it doesn't, it truly doesn't matter to me. I can
Well,
clearly
it
say-
doesn't matter to me is not a decision, not a vote.
What about you, Chris?
I'm good either way myself, but I'll go ahead and make a motion that we have the mayor, write up the ordinance to change our charter ordinance to meet once a month on the second Monday of the month,
I'll second.
At what time?
6 p.m. I can do so.
No, 6 is good. I don't wanna inconvenience any of you all. I want you to invite me to the next cruise.
If we start at
this year.
6, we get out earlier.
Mike seconded it.
Okay, so conversation, any more conversation? Okay, with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5 ayes. Okay, we're gonna change the charter ordinance to 1 meeting a month, the second Monday at 6 p.m.
And we won't change until after we adopt that ordinance.
Actually, what we'll do is that we will pull the ordinances up, we'll see what we need to change. It's a charter ordinance, it'll have to be rewritten, and then what I'll do is bring it to the council in the following meeting we'll get it out to the council for observation, and then what we'll do, you guys take a look at it, and we'll approve the change in the next meeting.
Actually, you were the one that mentioned it to me in my driveway.
No, I know, I realize that, you know, but it's just a matter of, again, it's not my take on it. My take on it is this: I would much rather have everyone in this room once a month, you know, to paying attention and in the game and coming to concepts and understanding than, you know what, that I'm inconvenient, or the city, we're being inconvenienced by a second meeting. And that we don't wanna have. We don't wanna create something that's just, well, we know the second meeting's just an inconvenience. Well, council spoke, we'll move forward with it, and we can have this ready for the next meeting of this month. You can approve it, and that, starting next month, we can kick off, we'll kick it off 1 meeting a month. Correct time frame, Jamie?
As far as what?
As far as, in the second meeting of this month, we'll approve this.
Correct.
Okay, and then next month, we'll kick it off.
But we have to,
I'd rather have
and
it.
I'm trying to remember, that's why I was asking the question. We have to put it in the paper, is it?
I'd have to look at
I think
That's
that's
why I'm asking.
That's not a 30-day thing. The charter ordinance, I think, is we run it in the paper for 2 consecutive weeks.
Is that what it is? Okay,
We
and
can
I'll
check
check,
that.
but I don't remember off the top of my head, that's why.
Okay, so, with that said, we're working on it.
Is that before or after we vote? We're running it before we vote?
Well, we've already voted, but you guys will have to,
have to vote on
you
that.
have to approve the writ. You know, example being, if this ordinance is, it's a month meeting, we discuss it, motion to approve, we must change the ordinance. I
Then we
did
have to
not,
vote on the
I did not prepare that ordinance this month to happen immediately. So, you know, Cindy and I, the girls and I will need time to get this ordinance pulled up, get it rewritten to Jamie for approval, and then council can make that.
It's better if we do ordinances that way, because we've approved some ordinances before, history past. And when it was written up and put in, it wasn't what we said exactly, you know what I mean?
Okay.
You know that.
Again, what we do is we write it up, we send it out to the council for approval. And that very same ordinance should be here, and what you're referring to wasn't an ordinance, well, there has been ordinances in the past before me even.
Right.
So, okay, all right. Again, that's the purpose of getting it prepared, sending it out to you so that you see what's written. And when you come in and you look at what's in the book, if it doesn't represent exactly what was in your drop box, then that's when we have, we have discussion. So, because again, our actions are supposed to be by the direction of the council. Okay. Okay, we're moving toward, all right, flags and landscape. I would like to move the flags from around the side of the building where they're gonna be in the way when we go to tear this thing down. And we're gonna probably need to move them anyway during the process. I would like to move them around front. I would like to buy some nice flag poles. I would like to put in some landscape, and I'd like to put in a little, a memorial wall. This memorial wall isn't marble, it's just merely concrete, but it's something that if we move, or we wanna move, the flagpoles the flagpoles can go with us, and anything that we attach to the memorial wall can go with us too, because we have a few plaques that we could put on there. And I think that it'd be a much better representation of our city, to have our colors, state, city, and national colors out front. This includes lighting, this not solar, but wired lighting, okay, and it comes with a solar package. Are we gonna wire it, or are we just gonna rely on the solar?
Solar package on it.
Okay, okay. This is the deal, if we're not happy with the solar package, electricity's gonna be 30 foot away. We'll have Steve dig a ditch for us, and we'll run electricity.
Lucky Steve.
Or we can bring Jeremy up, maybe.
We could not have
Sir?
Steve dig it because he has to inspect it, and that would be a
I don't
conflict of
usually
interest.
speak in meetings, but I just wanna make it clear, there is an etiquette to how you put those poles in.
Yes, sir.
Some people put the American flagpole in the middle, that's wrong. The American flagpole goes to the left, and it should be higher than the other flagpole.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
make sure you stick with the etiquette if you do this.
Okay,
Multiple flags.
understood. I think when Steve ordered these, he ordered these under a company that this is what they do, is set up monuments and national flag displays. So but thank you for the take on that.
To the left for the viewer. In other
Okay.
words, the guy looking at the flags should be on, the American flag should be on.
With that being said, the cost is $4,500. Like I said, it includes a nice flag poles, which allows us to move them, and some costs to, just put in a nice rock area for it, and it'll go right out here in this open grass.
Looks more like it would be 5291 to me.
Why is that?
The 4,500, that just says it's for to make it look pretty. This is the flagpole.
Is the flagpole 791.82 additional?
Total of 791, I believe.
791.82.
This looks like it's just for the landscape.
So add 791.82 to 4,500, and
300 basically.
well, we'll do a not to exceed here. So okay, that total does come to $5,291.82. It's approximately $800 more than I was giving you that amount for. It's still for the display, the 3 flagpoles that we can reuse, and again, it exceeds my authority. What say you, council?
Didn't we budget for this like?
We
4
talked
years ago?
about this 5 years ago and more. We had a representative of the paper who used to live across the bridge here. He used to drive by the colors every day, twice a day. So, or however many times he had brought this to your attention, this has been brought to my attention 5 times more. So what do I believe? I think that it's a good decision for the city. I think that it's a good image for the city. And I think it definitely is a good image if we want to represent and portray our veterans in this community, which we do in a memorial park. Unfortunately, the city's up here and we've always accepted that the flags back there were just okay. Well, guys, I don't think they're okay, but this is your decision. Not to beat this up, but
I
entertain.
make a motion that we authorize the mayor to spend $5,300 to get the flag formation
Not to
moved
exceed.
to the front. Not to exceed $5,300.
Second.
Conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, where were you, Mike? You're good? Five ayes, thank you. I didn't hear you, sir, sorry. All right. Steve, it's a go. All right. Mowing contract, Mindy?
Need to update the contract with Van Black, the price is the same as the last year,
Same price?
same price.
Motion to allow, is it the mayor and city clerk?
Myself, yeah.
Motion to allow the mayor and city clerk to enter into a contract with Van Black Lawn Care for purposes of mowing
Fee.
within a rate of $200 per mowing of City Hall and an additional $200 per mowing at the water tower.
I'll second it.
Conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, projects, knock this out. Water project, pre-construction meeting tomorrow with the contractor. It will be, we'll be doing a Teams meeting out of City Hall. So contractor B&G will be here in the morning, we'll do the pre-construction meeting. Pre-construction meeting, just so that everybody knows, it's exactly what it is. It's a pre-construction meeting, and we're going to hear from the contractor for the first time what his concept and what his building ideas are based on how he's gonna move forward with our project, based on what we think that, how it should be phased. You know, example being, we wanna get water from Lacine to the tower before we start, you know, jumping around anymore. So we wanna set a priority for the first phase of this. So that's kinda gonna be what we're looking for. Plus, this was a USDA insight that says, get it done, get it done, get it done. So this wasn't set by us, it was not set by B&G. USDA said, get this construction meeting out of the way. So, and that was
So is
all.
the contractor gonna be in person or on Teams?
He should be here. Teams is being offered for anybody who wants to attend that's that is in the construction circle or wants to request to be in the circle. So, and as we work through this, I remind everybody that as we work on projects, for everybody just to show up to things could create problems based on, you know what, you create a quorum and we can't have meetings if, you know, if we create a quorum without a official city meeting. So, because we could at the last minute, we haven't contacted him, we just can't go, oh, make this a meeting, Mindy, you know, so we would have to either dismiss people who showed to come under the quorum, or we'd have to cancel the meeting. So, you know, that's why we have project leads, and that's why.
So we can only have 2 council members
Yes, sir.
involved in the meeting?
Yes, sir. So, and I account for someone can show up if they want, and I account for.
You're not going?
I account for Richard's, presence in the matter.
I'll defer to you if you want to be.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay. Okay, and that's at 10:30 in the morning.
It's more right down your alley.
11.
Okay.
More right down your alley anyway. You're gonna understand what you're saying a lot more than I am.
Okay. Oh, it is, I have 10:30 to be up here. Okay. Okay, so that's what we know on that one there. The Lagoon Expansion Project, in communication with Aaron Castro, I want to read it to you. And it is, full update, KDHE has been actively reviewing the project. We have had a couple back and forth answering questions, providing additional information when requested by the KDHE. We are anticipating final approval within the next 2 weeks, and then we can move forward with the USDA RD to request the authorization to bid. Okay, that was update as of today for the Sewer Lagoon Expansion Project. Questions? Okay, real quick. Workshop reports. Didn't mean for city offices to be on there, but one of the things that I meant to be on there was if we move forward with the Department of Health building, we need to create a community outreach committee. Okay? In past, we called it an economic development committee. Well, I think as we are growing, I don't know where economic development sometimes applies to, you know, what do we have to sell? You know, but a community outreach would do the very same thing, and this community, that committee's responsibility would be more to stay in communication with the community and kind of get the input of what some of the communities, the same thing as an economic development committee, except for the thought isn't around economics. You know, it's not around cost. It's not around how can we make the city money. You know, it's about opinions. It's about conversations. So that was a conversation. That's what I wanted to be in there. City offices, like I said, it has happened to come to an opportunity in that conversation. Okay, and if that's accepted in the resolution, that if anybody's had a chance to read it, that is in the resolution to bring that committee into play. Okay, old business. Does anybody have any old business? Quick conversation I do have regarding old business is, does this council have any issues with the new quarry coming back into play with the county? Example being, planning and zoning is looking at this again to take back to the county commissioners for a special use permit. Our input at the last meeting, based on this conversation of this permit, was Councilman Suppenbach. Why don't you go ahead and let us know what you addressed with the commission based on our concerns?
We addressed the city's concerns at the time of the increased traffic along Guillory and 2400 and the lack of maintenance that has been done on that road by the previous quarry, which it was part of their special use permit to be helping with that maintaining of that road. So we brought that to the commissioners meeting, and that was our primary concern at the time. After having been at that meeting and hearing that when they're blasting, as long as they fall within a specific range, they can basically blow out all your windows and you don't have anything to come back on them for, because they stayed within range. So, that did become a larger concern for me after having heard their discussion at that meeting. Because I don't know that it's necessarily a situation that we would encounter, but I would not want to see foundation cracks and broken windows and such, and have no recourse because they were within range.
Jake Wade came to the city to ask if the council or the city had any other concerns regarding this other than what we've addressed at the last commission meeting. And I'm here to ask the council now, is there any more concerns than what Councilman Suppenbach has already presented? I take that as a no. Councilman Suppenbach will probably attend the next session when planning and zoning brings us back to the commission. Seems to be a pretty good group shows up down there for this conversation, and it's in our world. So, but, you know, with that being said, no objections from the council. Councilman Suppenbach will continue his work at the county. Okay, let's go to new business.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
I make a motion that we go into executive from 8:15 to 8:25 concerning contractual and legal obligations.
Okay.
Second?
All in favor? We'll return at what time, Councilman Weirs?
8:25.
25 after? Okay, so 10-minute executive session, a return at 25. No action taken. Bring the meeting back to order. Okay, new business. Last thing I have for new business is, everybody received in your Dropbox, I believe, the employee handbook.
Oh, I emailed it,
You
but
emailed it? Okay.
I didn't think about putting it in Dropbox.
Everybody has it emailed to them, we ought to put it in the Dropbox. But we've done a handbook update, and the council will need to review that, take a look at that, be prepared to come back to the next council meeting with, or if you have any recommendation, give them over Mindy before the next council meeting. Okay, so that we can get your input attached to the, and understand we didn't make a lot of changes, we just done, some updates. You know, based on changes from
Got a lot of
26 years
editing.
ago. Okay, so, but let's review that so that we can get that, amended and approved. Okay, so, all right. At this point in time, we move to citizens' participation, which Mindy will now moderate from start to finish, and it is, not advised, but is instructed to the council and the mayor that we do not enter into conversation or comments. So with that being said, I'll turn this over to Mindy. Mindy, will you continue?
So is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak? Forever hold your peace.
Wrong ceremony.
Huh?
Wrong ceremony.
Wrong ceremony? Hey,
Go
to you
ahead.
guys,
Okay. At this point, Mindy would entertain a motion to what?
adjourn.
Adjourn.
To adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second. Just like a mine.
All right. Guys, thanks for everything, and, I realize that there's a lot of hard decisions to make here. I apologize that it has to be put off on you.